Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 19 here in Boulder Canyon on our super hardcore Let's Play series. We're just running our trailer load of timber up here. We're up to $11,216 at the moment. We have a target of around about $100,000 in order to be able to buy a tractor with a front loader and an auto load trailer to go with it. So we've got our work cut out for us. We're going to get the tractor and the front loader first, and we'll bring that back over here. Because what we could do is we could just start loading up some longer logs into this trailer using the tractor and the front loader. So we might be able to do that, and that would then speed up a little bit in order to be able to sort of start getting all the rest of the stuff that we need to get. That's taken us up to almost 15,000. I have now got, it should show up here somewhere, under placeables maybe, under miscellaneous. I'm hoping it shows. There we go. Right, so you've got a universal selling station right there and a universal selling station with 150% prices. It sells everything including pallets, bales and liquids. It does not include wood logs, poplar and tree saplings. So it's basically the same as the basic game. It did say somewhere that if you want to be able to sell liquids, you've got to have a vehicle with an overload function, a trailer with an overload function. So I'm not really sure if we'll be able to sell all liquids properly straight away. We'll have to look at that. I will alter the price of it. I said 100,000 for the selling station, so we will have 100,000 for the selling station. But what I was actually thinking that we might do is we've got that, but obviously you wouldn't just have like a pit in the middle of nowhere. So what I was thinking we could do is we could have it like that, and then we could go with some of this stuff down here. That one's 10,000, isn't it? We've got various different options here. We could just go with a big old barn right beside it, sort of to, you know, maybe a bit of storage, or that farm storage right there, 70,000, so that makes 80,000 in total, and then the farm shed to go with it is another 20,000, or the farm garage to go with it is another. That would make 100,000 altogether. So we get those structures and just sort of put it around the sell point. There's our $100,000. So I'm thinking I'd probably end up doing that, just because I think it would sort of look better if we did it like that. I'm not 100% sure yet, but today we don't need to worry about it. My main aim this week is to get that tractor that we looked at yesterday. For those of you who didn't see it, this is the tractor we're going for, and a small tractor we're going for the fence, so that we don't have to upgrade. A lot of you expressed concern about me getting a different tractor and then having to come back and buy another one that's got a front loader option on it or anything like that that we might want a bit later. This is a 115 horsepower tractor. It's got an upgrade that we can come back and get later on for an additional 17,000. That'll take it up to 150 horsepower, which is more than enough to do everything that we want to do to start with. We've also got various different wheel options, including narrow tires for working on crops and stuff like that. We can have a front loader attachment on it as well. This tractor has everything that we need. So we don't need to worry about getting any extras or anything different. We've got a tractor at the moment that we can use in order to get to our 76,000. We're actually going to want a little bit more than that. We're going to want 76 plus the loader attachment, 1,500. It's going to be 77,500, and then it's about 6 grand for the actual front loader itself, front loader and a log fork. So we're looking at $85,000, 84,000. So that's going to be our first target. But what we can do after that, like I said, is we can go and get just that one. We can then bring that back and we can use that front loader and put it onto this trailer. and then we can start loading this trailer with some bigger logs. We'll be able to pick them up with a tractor and load them into the trailer. That will then get us the next 30,000 that we need in order to be able to get the auto load trailer that we want to get, and that's kind of our main target for this at the moment, is to get that auto load trailer. Once we've got the auto load trailer, then our next task will be to get that universal sell point that I've just shown you all set up. So I'm hoping this week at least we will get the Fendt tractor, get that one back here with a front loader, with a log grab, and possibly even get as far as getting the money for the auto load trailer as well. I'm not hugely hopeful about getting the auto load trailer as well, but you never know. We may get lucky with it. Now, if I bring that one over that way a bit, am I going to be able to move that? I don't think I am. No. Right, well, let me cut the end off of that. It was going to do it just then. There. Right, chop. There we go. Right, chop the end off, and then it sits down into the trailer quite nicely. And I'll grab that one there for the other bits. Load that in. Is there any more of those narrow bits at the moment? There's one more there. We'll grab that, and then we'll start loading up some of the other bits. Put you in there. And, right, that one over to there. That one over to there like that. Perfect. Right, now we can start throwing in these logs. Yeah, getting the tractor with the front loader on it, I think that's going to work out quite nicely. My weekly question for this week: once I have got the Fendt tractor and I've got the auto load trailer, then our next task is to buy that universal sell point. It's going to cost us $100,000. However we decide to set it up, whether it's just that on its own and alter the price, or we get some placeables and put round it, make it look a little bit better. Personally, I'd like to go for the placeables around it. I think that would look... It's just going to look better. And yes, it's going to take up a bit of space, but that's fine. We'll deal with that. We'll set it up probably over there somewhere. Everybody pretty much said set it up close to where you're working. We don't want you having to unnecessarily drag it halfway across the map. There's no need for it. So we'll set that one up, and it will be there somewhere. And then we can worry about getting some more storage and stuff after that. So yeah, universal sell point after we've got the tractor and we've got the other... and we've got the auto-load trailer. And then what do we do next? That is the big question. What do we do after we have got those in place? Do I start making a load of silage bales here in this area that we've now got cut, and wrapping them and selling them at the universal sell point? Or do I buy some sheep and we start working towards getting some wool and selling that at the universal sell point instead? If we go for wool, if we go for sheep, and, well, we will be eventually going for both sheep and chickens, regardless of what happens, I'm going to be using the pallets that I've been using in the other Let's Play series. For those of you who don't watch the other Let's Play series, we've got these pallets here, and I think they're absolutely wonderful. They're under pallets. There's probably a link in the description. You've got a single-use pallet there, and you can alter this one. You can change the capacity of it. It goes up to 9,600, or you've got a reusable pallet right there. And then you've got wool pallets over here. The only difference between a single-use and a reusable ones with these is this one, you can go 4,000 or up to 8,000, whereas the reusable one is for 8 or 10. So it's slightly bigger. You can go up to 10,000 litres of wool in the reusable one, but I don't think that would work. I think it would be better in this series to go for the single use, because you're loading it onto a pallet and then someone's coming along and picking them up and taking them away. Taking them a long way away from here, because we don't have an immediate market for any of these goods just here. It's got to be transported away. That's the whole point of the universal sell point, is that whoever the trader is coming up here, and we're in the middle of nowhere up here, so it's not like a regular route that is done multiple times a day or even multiple times a week. The guy comes up here and he picks up the goods as and when they are ready to sell. So he's not going to bother coming up for a small quantity. So I think that these pallets do work well for it. It sort of compresses it down. I mean, yeah, the visual of the pallet is not fantastic because you don't sort of see... you don't have a much bigger pallet. But I still think it's a believable and quite sort of realistic thing. We're putting together big pallets of stuff, so we could say that there's a minimum of 2 full pallets to be of wool before we can sell it, or 4 full pallets. So 8,000 litre. No, is it? Yeah, 8,000 litres of wool per pallet. And he's not going to turn up for anything less than 4 pallets at once, which means that we've got to get together 9, what did I say, 8,000, we got to have 24,000 litres of wool to sell before he's going to make the journey all the way up here into the mountains to gather up the stuff that we've got for sale. I think that's quite a realistic thing. The pallet, like I said, the visual on the pallet is not particularly good, but the rest of it is. Anyway, the vote. Are we going to do sheep first, or are we going to do bales? So it's your votes, it's your game. Head into the comment section down below, let us know which one you want and why. And of course, don't forget to actually cast your vote in the top right-hand corner. It doesn't really matter, I don't think, which one you pick. It's more a preference for gameplay more than anything else. I will just mow it as it is. I'll ignore the shrubs, and we will sort of mow through the shrubs. We might... Well, we will be working towards ploughing it up, and then... So we'd have to plough it, cultivate it, and plant it with grass, because, I do think that would be our first option. Plough... plant with cultivate and then plant with grass, because we'd need fertilizer then. You don't need a weed killer, we don't need spray, do we? Because the weeds don't affect the grass. I think they'll grow like the first time, but then they don't affect it after that. You don't need to spray with anything, which is quite cool. I do like that little feature, because weeds are never really much of an issue when you've got a grass field. So we will eventually plough it all up and then reseed it all with grass anyway, so that we get a much higher yield, and we will get sheep going as well as baling up. But it's what do you want me to do first? What sort of type of gameplay do you want to be seeing first, once we've gotten a little bit more fed up with doing this all the time? And there's another load. So that was kind of medium logs. 18,000. We've only got 62 to go. Actually, no, 66. 66,000 to go. I'm hopeful that we will reach our target of that tractor this week, but I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure at this point. 15 episodes to get to our first tractor with a loader. Well, we all know that this is kind of like a work-in-progress experiment, and we're doing it how we're doing it on this map. Once we've achieved our target on this map, we'll then move to a new map, and we'll start something different. Now, looking at the live stream that I did this week with the Black Mountain, Montana map, I thought that map was absolutely brilliant, mainly because I was looking at it from a Super Hardcore series point of view. And that map would be absolutely perfect for the Hardcore series. It really would. It's sort of laid out. I know it's got fields on it already, and we kind of want all logging, but a huge chunk of that map is a logging map anyway. And I would say, you'd start with a piece of land up in the hill, so that you're not, hang on, I reckon if we chop that one back there somewhere. Wow, did that all fall off? I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, if we started with a piece up in the hills, and then we worked our way back down, working towards owning some of the other land. I don't think it's going to spoil the series having some fields pre-made that we can go and buy. And I was just, you know, the overall feel of that map I thought was very good for this particular type of series. And I think it could work out quite nicely. So that's one map that I would seriously consider for a future hardcore series. I've also been thinking about, you know, what other conditions can we have in order to finish the map. This map at the moment, we're going to have some of each type of animal. We're not including horses in that, so it's chickens, sheep, pigs, and cows. But we've also got to be producing all the food that they need. Now, I did say possibly for the pigs, we won't include a root crop with that. Possibly. We'll get to that much further down the line, and we'll see what people want. And then, you know, that's sort of going to be towards the end of the series, getting the pig set up, I suspect. And then we'll be looking at starting the next series. And, you know me, I'm always sort of looking ahead and daydreaming and easily getting squirreled about all sorts of different stuff. And so I was wondering what sort of starting conditions we should use for our next map, because one of the big feedback points that I got for this one was a lot of you didn't particularly like the fact I started with no vehicle at all. So I'm not going to do that again. The next time we will actually have a vehicle to start the series with. But what kind of vehicle should I start the series with? Should I turn up with a pickup? Just say, for example, we were starting on the Montana map. Now, I'm probably not going to go to the Montana map, because by the time we finish this series, there will be many, many more maps out that we can go and look at. So I probably won't be using that map. It might still be one that seems well suited to this series. And so if I did, should we start with a pickup? Should we start with a small tractor that is already able to do something with the trailer? I mean, one thing I do love about this series is how difficult it is to get established to start with. I would definitely keep the rule, if we had a map that's got fields on it, I would definitely keep the rule no contracting. No working for anybody else in order to go and earn money. The only way we can do this is earn our own money. We're not working for somebody else. Even if there are fields and other jobs there available that we could go and do, I still wouldn't want to. It would sort of go in the face of what I want from this series. I mean, yeah, I know that in real life you probably would go and do a bit of work for other people to supplement your own income, but I don't particularly like the idea of doing it as part of this series, so I'd probably still say no. I know it's a long time in the future. This is all speculation at the moment. We've no idea what's going to happen with this series and how we're going to evolve and progress, so we've no idea how we're going to start the next series either. It could be that, you know, we work our way all the way up, and then to finish this series, we end up paying off our bank loan. And that's kind of like the end of the series, is we've gotten all the animals that we said that we were going to go for, and then we've paid off our bank loan, so that when we move to the next place, we haven't got crippling loan payments to take care of. You know, there's other things, but we've decided to learn from our mistakes, and we're not going to be taking out any more loans. So, or maybe we do need to take out a loan in order to buy a small parcel of land, and we're also able to have a tractor of some kind, you know, some sort of vehicle. But what vehicle would we have? What vehicle would we start a new series with? Would it be just a pickup, something like that, something like the Mahindra? Maybe we're going to do it slightly different to that. Maybe we start off with a mid-range tractor and a loader. So, you know, we're sort of a bit more established. Ideally, I would have started this series with the Pony and Trap mod that we had in FS17, but it's not available in FS19, which was a bit of a disappointment, because I thought that was one of the best. That would have been a beautiful mod to start this series with, I felt. I thought that would have been Really quite fitting to start off with just a pony and trap, and have like those first few logs rather than being run up by hand and then slowly getting to the Mahindra. I felt that just a pony dragging up a trap would have, it would have been brilliant. It would have been absolutely wonderful to do that, but we couldn't, so let's not worry about it. Right, I think that is, yeah, that'll do. Let's get that lot done. We've picked up just about all of the timber that we had cut down, so we're gonna have to cut down a few more trees once we've done this load here. I'm viewing it from this particular angle right here so that I can see any tree stumps, because the trailer generally will work all right. We go along here like this. Even like this, it's not feeling particularly realistic as we go along. Right, I mean, it's sort of, it's a little bit better than being in a cab. Just sitting on the tractor like this, but it's still, it feels less realistic to me driving like this than it does driving like this. Right, I get more of a sensation of the overall view that you get driving a vehicle in real life doing it like this than I do by doing the in-cab view. Just because your peripheral vision and everything, it takes in so much more information than what your peripheral vision gets from doing in-cab driving in the game. Plus, you've also got something that should never be underestimated. When you're actually driving a vehicle, it's not just what you can see. You've also got other sensory input as well. You've got the vibrations of the machine. You can feel that machine under you as you're going along. As I'm driving along, if I've just got my visual on here, right, I'm going along and I go over a bump or something, I can't feel it or get a visual representation if it's a small bump. Whereas if I'm driving a tractor in real life, I feel that bump. I don't even need to see it. I feel the bump, and that's giving me a whole load of extra sensory input. I'm listening to the sounds of the engine. There's a whole load of stuff there that's basically giving me a much bigger picture of what's going on with that tractor as I'm driving it than just what I can see through just through my set of peepers that I've got. And that additional sensory input is quite significant, to the point where when you're driving with just your visuals and you've removed all that other sensory input, which you have on here. I've got a little bit of sound, but most of this is not on all the additional sensory input that allows me to sort of feel what the tractor is doing. All four corners of the tractor, I can feel what it's doing. Every slight undulation of the ground is giving me sensory input that has nothing to do with my eyes. And not having that whilst driving is part of what makes it so difficult. That's one of the reasons why this, to me, is much more realistic, seeing it sideways on, because I'm getting then a visual input that's making up for the lack of the alternative sensory input that I would normally get whilst driving. It's probably the closest. I've been thinking about this for several days, because some people have said you're still like you're in cab, man. You're getting exactly the same as you would if you were driving in real life, and that's probably the closest I can get to it, to describing what's wrong for me with using the in-cab driving. Right? I don't get that. I don't get the same input coming back from in-cab driving in this game as I do in real life. And I think it's that sensory input bit that has such a huge impact on it. And that, I think, is probably the closest I'll get to being able to fully describe it. But I definitely do feel, when I'm driving it, that being out of cab and being able to see like I can when I'm out of cab is far closer to a real-life experience of driving than anything else. Like the lack of mirrors and that, the ability to quickly turn my head, the loss of peripheral visions, and all things like that, it makes a big difference. Like with ETS2, It's one of the very few games where I get on better driving in cab than I do out of cab. And there are not many games at all where I can honestly say that driving in cab is better than out of cab. ETS2 is one of the very, very few that I can do that with. And in part, that is because of the mirrors. Right, you got full working mirrors, and I have them superimposed. You know, I can see the left-hand mirrors if I'm on a left-hand drive, or right-hand mirrors if I'm on right-hand drive. And I can see those out of the window, and then I've got the mirrors from the other side superimposed on the screen on the side. So I've got a full visual all the way around my vehicle, which makes a big difference. It really does. It makes a huge, significant difference to the way that I can drive. Plus, one of the big inputs with ETS2 is the position of the steering wheel, which makes a huge difference to being able to actually control the truck as you're driving along the road. That just seeing the visual position of the steering wheel as I'm going along does genuinely make a huge difference to my being able to control that vehicle. And that's one of the, you know, I'm not very good at racing games at all. I've occasionally tried a racing game. Racing games they're not my strong point, not even close. And I can't do racing games from in-cab. I absolutely cannot do racing games from in-cab. I've got to do racing games from outside behind the vehicle so that I can see a bit more of the visual, because I just don't have the feeling for I can't feel the vehicle when I'm in the cab. And that to me is like sort of trying to drive whilst half blind, and it's just something I can't do. I know some people are really good at it. Some people can do it without any problem at all. They can hop straight in and go for it. I'm not one of those people. I can't do it. I cannot drive without all of that input coming in, and it's really, really difficult to, like, sort of. I think that I've done a reasonable job of explaining that, but it is difficult to try and explain why I can't do it and why it's so difficult for me. And so I think that's about as close as I'm going to get to it. Now, we're on $23,000 at the moment. I'm starting to think we're not going to achieve our target this week of our 85,000. We might. We're 11 o'clock at the moment right now. So we, you know, I'm hoping that we'll get there before nightfall. Because if we don't, then we've got to get an extra 8,000. It's, well, it's 7,500. Yeah, 8,000. Call it 8,000. We got to work for another $8,000 if we don't get this target before nightfall. So I'm hoping we at least get that bit, and then it should make a difference. We can start loading bigger logs into this trailer. How well we're going to load bigger logs, I don't know yet. There's something that we'll see once we get to it. I'm not too concerned about that, because I think those bigger logs, you know, it's going to be faster loading them. It's definitely going to be faster loading them up. So, and I'm also hoping that we'll get more money for them as well. Some people said that I should be using the in-game log skid. There was another one that we tried using in the series, which is this one here. Now, this one works better when you've got it on the front on a front loader. You get that one on a front loader and it works really well. But you can put it on a 3-point linkage and you can put it behind the tractor. Problem is, I didn't get on very well with it. It doesn't grip all that well either. It did frequently let go the logs and the trees. And the amount of time that it would take to get a log and then drag it all the way up to the sawmill, it's not like time well spent. It's not money coming back and you know, being earned for us. It's faster earning money from what I've seen so far. It's definitely faster chopping them up and going for our little red wagon that we got right here. This little red wagon does seem to be the most efficient way of earning money at the moment, which means that we've just got to sort of keep chugging away at this. And this is why I want to move on this week. I definitely want to move on this week, so I don't want to like spend too long on it. And then by the time we've done this full week of messing around with more logs like this, you're all going to be ready for me to move on and get some, you know, do some new stuff, which is why I definitely think that the auto load function on a trailer is the way forward. You know, by that point we will have done 15 episodes of just logs. You're going to be craving something new and something different, so we'll very quickly then, once we get the next tractor, we can get a few logs loaded into this one, and those will be bigger logs, so they'll be worth more money. And we'll be able to get those back to... sell those until we've got the auto loader. I'll try loading a little bit into the auto loader manually using the front loader and the log grab as well. Probably won't do very many like that if we've already been doing a few bits of log handling with this trailer as well. And then we will get the money that we need for the universal sell point. That's going to be our next bit. And also, whatever we're going for after we've got the universal sell point. Once we spend 100,000 on that, is it going to be sheep or is it going to be bales? Which one are we going to be going for? I think both of those are very good options. I think that there's sort of good, viable options for earning ourselves a bit of cash. With sheep, See, I was thinking that we'd go for a forage wagon, but the more I think about it, the more I think that with sheep, we'd still want to go and buy a baler anyway, because that way we haven't got to buy two machines. You know, you buy a forage wagon in order to gather up some grass for the sheep. You've then got to go back and buy a baler in order to be able to do the baling afterwards. So if we go for sheep, we're still going to want to get a baler to go with them, and we can just give them grass bales. We don't have to worry about making hay. We can just make just a couple bales of grass, and we can do it that way. That's quite realistic. I know people that do that. Now, they might not do it a great deal, but if you've got your sheep all in one place, particularly at lambing time, I know people that have done that. You get a bale, or get a small baler or something like that, and just go and bale up a little bit of loose grass and take it in for the sheep, rather than moving the sheep too much while you're lambing. And yeah, mainly because you don't want to disturb the sheep too much while you're in the middle of lambing. Let's see if we can drive over as many stumps as possible and try and shake these logs out of the trailer instead of being careful and keeping them in the trailer. Just for a bit of fun, you know. Or let's not. Let's try and do this sensibly. Right, on with our next load here. So I'm hoping, well, roughly what, $3.5 grand we're getting per load ish. So another 3,500 onto here. We're on 23,000 at the moment. That's going to take us up to 26,500. 26.5. We might get one more load done. That's going to take us up to 30 grand. So we're on to 30 grand at the moment. $30,000 is not too bad, right? That's not a you know, a small amount to be sneered at, but it's still taking us a while. We've still got 50 grand to go in order to be able to reach our target, so that we can get our tractor with a front loader and have a tractor that we're not going to need to go and replace. A few people have actually come into the comments and said that you think I should get rid of the Mahindra temporarily. Sell that one back, sort of like a part exchange, because that would be a realistic thing to do. Because some people said they didn't want me selling that one immediately, because it would sort of feel, you know, not quite right, because we've only just saved up the money and bought it, and then immediately selling it again, it just doesn't seem like, you know, something that a person would do. But if we sort of did it on almost like a part exchange and hold deal, where the dealership takes it in part exchange for our new vehicle, and then we go and buy it back as the first thing we buy back after we've got our auto-load trailer, you know, that would be acceptable. We'd lose money on that deal. We would lose a little bit of money on that deal. We'd lose a few thousand on it. Looking at the vehicle at the moment, it's 12,400 here. We've also got that trailer. We could hitch the two together, drive them back, sell them both. The brand new Mahindra, that was under cars, wasn't it? Yeah, it was 17,000, so it'd probably be closer to 15,000 that we'd get. We'd get nearly 20,000 for that. So let's call it 18,000 for the trailer and the Mahindra. If we get 30 grand now, 18,000 onto that, that's going to push us up to 48,000. We are then, what have we got left to go with? Another 22,000. Oh, and actually it's another 25,000. So roughly what we've earned at the moment, we'd still have to get. But it's a bit more doable. You know, that's not a unachievable target, and it's taking us a lot closer. The stipulation for that, of course, would be that we would have to go and buy that Mahindra straight back again. As soon as we could, we would have to buy that Mahindra straight back again. But we would do it after purchasing the auto load, just so that we can speed it up a little bit. You know, it's sort of using our assets as security to go and purchase the next item. Which, you know, that's the sort of thing that people do in real life. This is what we're trying to do, is emulate real life as much as possible. So I won't do that this week, because I want to get your feedback on that one. But what do you think of me selling the Mahindra just temporarily, and then we'll buy it back a little bit later on as soon as we've got the auto load? That would be the first thing we buy back before we go buying anything else. And that way we've used the Mahindra as a security deposit almost, in order to purchase our next item and move up the rungs a little bit with our business. I'm thinking that this might not be a bad idea. It may also help just to nudge things along a little bit, because otherwise we're going to end up getting stale here, chopping up logs, and everybody's going to get thoroughly fed up with it. Not least of all me, because, yeah. This is the time-consuming bit. It's coming down through chopping them like this, but then we've also got to stack them all into the trailer by hand. Whereas if I've got the, well, the auto-load trailer, we'll just pull up alongside and we'll load them all up. That'll work quite easily. But even without the auto-load trailer, we've got the... I have to cut that one. Ignore the auto-load trailer. Once we get the log fork onto the fence, we've then got a vehicle that can pick up some much bigger logs, and so we've got much fewer cuts that we've got to do on this. And then once we get the auto-load trailer, it's one, maybe two cuts. These two that I've just cut down here, go up through, clean them, and then chop them in half. That's all we would need to do, is just chop them in half. There'd be nothing else required other than simply cutting them in half. This one right here, actually I think most of them would be cut in half. I don't think we would be able to just leave it as a whole tree. I think it would also be worth a fraction more being cut in half as well. It's a job to tell sometimes, but I do think it would be worth just a tiny bit more if we were to cut it in half. This is the only problem with it, is when you get it like that. Yeah. Yeah, see? Just trying to get the right bits on there. All cut off. Right, take that one out there, and another piece there. How much timber have I got on the ground? I cut down 3. There was a bit on the ground already, which I think that might actually be enough now to load another trailer. I got there. I've got those two. What else have I got? Oh, there we go. There's a few bits over here. Not very much. Actually, such a small quantity that I'm thinking we need another tree. Yeah, we will. We'll need one more, just to finish off that one. So we'll take... we got a few small trees right here. Once we've cut these, we won't go over to the other side of our camp at the moment. We'll just bring that one down. We won't go around here. We'll head over that way nearer the road. We'll stay near the road and sort of... So we've got a piece here, lower side of that rock, and then moving up that way towards where the road is going up. And we'll chop that down there. Whiz you off all the way up through like that. There. Right. Chop you down through here. And yeah, we should have just enough time to get this loaded up and then sold. So that's going to take us, I'm hoping, up to... Actually, that'll be... We should reach almost 30 grand. Or about 30 grand. So if we take into account that... You know, if we say that we are going to sell that Mahindra temporarily and the Mahindra trailer, that's going to give us another... 18,000 I'm estimating, which is going to go, it's going to take us up to the 48. So we're still looking at, we need 26,000 on top of that, but 26,000, that's doable in tomorrow and the first episode next week. We will be able to achieve the target with tomorrow and the first episode next week. That's my guess. At least I'm hoping that's the case. Right, so we'll start chucking all of these logs in as quickly as we can so that we can get this one up. I want these small pieces in as well. Go on, in you go. Yeah, and yeah, so how big are pieces? Are we going to be able to get in here using the... getting a tractor with a loader on it, with a log grab? No, I know that we can pick up some fair-sized logs, and what we could do... You can only really pick up one log at a time, so, I mean, we can still pick up a log, and we can carry that one with us as we go up into the sawmill, but the only thing you've got to remember with that is that unless we can carry it sideways on, you're not going to carry a very big log doing it like that. The one thing I do appreciate about this map is there's none of the deciduous trees. The deciduous trees are the ones that really bug me because they're so difficult to deal with in this game. And it does tend to slow things down when you're trying to deal with those, but we haven't got any of them that we've got to worry about. Although... The one positive about the deciduous trees is when you get the big trunks, because the big trunk on the deciduous tree is worth a bit of money. But it's not worth the extra time and effort that it takes to chop down, remove all of the other branches, because all the other branches are pretty much worthless on those trees. So it's not really worth all of that time and effort. Bring that one over. The tree there that is in the middle of the track, I'm going to leave that one until we've actually got a what do you call, a stump grinder, because otherwise I'm going to forget that I've removed it, and I'm going to go over that stump too fast with something, and I'm going to end up flipping a vehicle over. That I really don't want to do. Now, we can cut a branch, and we can lever the vehicle back the right way up, we hope. But that may not necessarily always be the case. So, until we've got a stump grinder here on site that we can clear it up with, I am not going to be getting I'm not going to be cutting that tree down. I'm going to leave that one exactly where it is. Right, this side over here now, we've got more. Actually, I'm going to easily be able to fill this trailer up. I was thinking I'm going to run out of timber here. But no, I've got plenty of timber. We'll load this trailer right up to the gunnels again. And then get that one up to the sawmill. Put you into there. Ooh, that's not very good. Right. So, as always, I want your views and opinions on things that I've talked about in this episode. Do you think we're going about this the right way? Do you think that I'm going about this in completely the wrong way? Do you think I need to be changing my attitude towards certain things? I need to be altering how we do things for next time. And I'd also like to hear how you think we should be setting up for a future series. We know what the target for this one is. For a future series, somebody actually talked about it. It's something that I'd been thinking about, and I'd already decided sort of roughly what the target was going to be for the next series that we do. It's not going to be a set number of animals, I want a set number of crops, and basically every crop. I think I may have already talked about this. I definitely mentioned it in a comment. But yeah, having a set number of crops in storage. So things like wheat, barley, oats, the bulk storage, and corn, maize, we would have probably in the region of 100,000 litres of each in storage. Then beans, sunflowers, canola, and stuff like that. The more valuable cereals, those we would have 50,000 litres of each in storage. And this is not including all the stuff that we've sold in order to be able to make our money. And then we've also got to have a minimum of 25,000 litres of everything else. So 25,000 litres of eggs, of wool, of milk, wood chips, and, you know, even the root crops. Say both the root crops, some cotton, some sugar cane, and maybe there'll be one or two of them that we don't have, just to sort of say, or we could just say a set quantity of everything. So 50,000 litres, I've got to have 50,000 litres of absolutely everything. So 50,000 litres of straw, of hay, of silage, regardless of what type of silage. It might be baled form or it might be in a clamp. If I've got 50,000 litres of silage in a clamp, that's acceptable. Things like that. But that would be a target for a future series. It was just something that I was sort of thinking about. And then someone went and put it in a comment not long after I was considering this myself. And I sort of thought, yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. At some point. I don't know when, but definitely at some point. Right, I'll pick that one up there. We have run out of time for today's episode, though. So, my weekly question, which job do I do first? Once we've got our autoloader and we've got our universal sell point in place so that we can go and sell our new crops, what do we do first? Do we get some sheep and get those set up producing wool? Or do we just go full on baling and full-on grass production, and we get a baler, a wrapper, and start making silage bales and selling silage bales? Which one do you think we should do first? So it's your vote, it's your game. Head into the comment section down below, let us know which one you want and why, and of course don't forget to actually cast your vote in the top right hand corner. Do we do sheep first, or do we go for silage bales first? Just bring this lot in here, and we can sell this trailer load right there. And another 3,300 with just about 30 grand. So if you've enjoyed the episode, then please hit down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. I will continue this on tomorrow. We will sell as much timber as we possibly can. We'll go back down and we'll just get the last couple of trees over by our living quarters, and then we're going to head up that way, sort of straight ahead of us here, and we're going to start cutting trees down that way next, because there's quite a few big trees there, and the big trees are the real money earners, and those are the ones that we want to start taking down. We got a few of these small ones just to clear up, and then we can head over there. Hopefully we will get most of the money that we need. I'm going to assume that most of you will be happy with me selling the Mahindra. I'm going to make that assumption. You should never make assumptions, but I am going to make one at the moment. But obviously, let's hear your views and opinions on it. You may really hate this idea, in which case I'll have to reassess the situation. But we'll deal with that then. So, until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.